You know, I sometimes wonder if the guy in charge of farming all the food for McDonald's is known as the CEO. Hey folks, welcome to This Week in History, brought to you by, as always, our sponsors, Steve Stevens, Clayton Jaimez, the Hayes family, Patrick Freeman, and Mark Penn-Griffin. We appreciate the support from you guys, and we appreciate the support from all of you through liking, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff. But if you want to do more, you can always check out our Patreon. There's a link down in the description below. Anywho, let's get to it. On May 29th of 1780, the Battle of Waxhaws, also known as the Waxhaws Massacre, occurred during the American Revolution, when British troops continued attacking after the Continentals had laid down their arms, killing 113 and critically wounding all but 53 of the men that remained. The British were under the command of Banastre Tarleton, you probably remember that name, who was trapped under his dead horse while the massacre went on, which was what stopped him from stopping it. And from then on, both sides in South Carolina showed what was known as Tarleton's Quarter, where very few prisoners were taken, and more often than not, anyone who surrendered was killed. On May 30th of 1416, Jerome of Prague was burned alive at the stake by secular authorities after being tried for heresy by the Council of Constance. In that same vein, in 1431, 19-year-old Joan of Arc was burned at the stake by an English-dominated tribunal. Again, this was done by secular authorities, not church authorities, who actually canonized her as a saint. On May 31st, in 1879, Gilmore's Garden in New York City was renamed Madison Square Garden by William Vanderbilt and was open to the public at the corner of 26th Street and Madison Avenue near Madison Square. This would be the first of 4 arenas to be known as Madison Square Garden. On June 1st of 1773, Woolton Maud rescued 14 sailors at the Cape of Good Hope from a sinking ship by riding his horse into the sea 7 times and carrying survivors back to shore. However, both he and his horse, Vonk, died on the 8th attempt, and yeah, that's going out as heroes right there. On June 2nd, in 1774, the Quartering Act was enacted, allowing a governor in colonial America to house British soldiers in uninhabited houses, including outhouses, barns, and other buildings if suitable quarters were not provided. This was one of what were known as the Intolerable Acts that greatly added to the growing resentment among colonials that led to the American Revolution. It's also why we have the Third Amendment in the U.S. Constitution. In 1780, the week-long anti-Catholic Gordon Riots began in London, resulting in an estimated 300 to 700 deaths. It's considered the most destructive riot in London's history, that's saying something, and came about due to the passing of laws that eased discrimination against Catholics. On June 3rd, 1781, after witnessing Banastre Tarleton leading a group of cavalry intent on capturing Thomas Jefferson and the rest of the Virginia legislature, Jack Jewell began his 40-mile midnight ride to warn them, which allowed them to escape capture. It should be noted that he was able to outrun the British cavalry by taking trails and back roads rather than the main road, and that he traveled with moonlight being pretty much his only source of light. On June 4th in 1411, King Charles VI granted a monopoly for the ripening of Roquefort cheese to the people of Roquefort-sur-Soulzon. This had been an unofficial rule for centuries at that point, and it's still a rule that it cannot be referred to as Roquefort cheese unless it's made from sheep's milk and it's aged in the natural caves of the Roquefort region. This is known as a protected designation of origin, and there are quite a few foods and drinks across the planet that hold this designation, the most well-known probably being champagne, which can only come from the Champagne region of France. And that's just gonna about do it for this week, but we'll see you back here next week. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Be happy, be healthy, and y'all come back now, you hear?